What's wrong? You honestly worded. You wonder what it was. You raised an eyebrow. You chuckled. Oh, Cove, whatever it is, I'm sure it's gonna be okay. You joked. You raised an eyebrow. You raised a questioning eyebrow. You made it half as dramatic as Cove's expression, and he had to stifle a smirk. Cove shook his head, comedically despondent. His frown didn't match the sparkle in his eyes.
Don't worry about it.
I'm just becoming another jaded adult, that's all. Now you were really confused. You waited for him to continue, and his next sigh did not disappoint. It was the most ridiculously sad sigh you had ever heard. Then he smiled a little. Mermaids aren't real. What? That had not been what you were expecting. He continued. You know how much I liked mermaids as kids? Well, merfolk as a whole. I really hope that they were out there.
I mean...
The ocean's a big place, right? They could be somewhere. But the older I got, the more I had to accept they were just a fairy tale. He jerked his head over to the waterline and the rolling waves. They crashed against the shore and then drew back. This is a perfect beach for them. It's pretty and vast and never too crowded. If merfolk did exist, we definitely would have met one by now. Or at least we would have heard of someone else seeing one, but nothing. He acted as though that result was a true bafflement. He let his head hang. I gotta let the dream go. He burst into laughter. That's hardly proof. It's not like this is the only beach in the world. You pretended to be shocked and disappointed. You shook your head. Wow, good for you with that revelation. You pretended to be shocked and disappointed. What? Mermaids aren't real? You looked at him and tried to get fake tears to start welling up in your eyes. I can't believe it! Cove chuckled a little to himself, eyes tilted off into the sea, his face still low. Maybe it's for the best. Let's say a merperson did happen to wash up on shore one day. He looked at you with faux, doleful expression. I could have lost my best friend to their magical underwater world. Oh yeah, I'd totally go live under the sea with the merfolk. Even if I had the chance, I'd stay on the shore with you. I'd go with the merperson, but only if you could come with us too. I'd go with the last option. Cove grinned. He hadn't expected that answer. You're a nice person, Z, but what if they didn't want me? Would you seriously stay on land? You gave him a look. You meant what you had said. It only worked if the offer was for both of you. Are you sure that's the right call? If a beautiful, kind merperson falls for somebody, I'm pretty positive that the sensible response isn't to turn around and say, no thanks, I'm gonna stay on land with the normal guy. Are you warning me that you'd leave if you get that kind of offer? Why are you so sure I'd make that call? This is all hypothetical. Why not have you be the merperson? I don't want that. I should get to be a mer creature and then I'd invite you to the underwater world. Are you warning me that you leave if you got that kind of offer? You don't want me to be blindsided when you ditch me for a mer creature if they're real? No, I thought it isn't what I was trying to say. I'm not the one who have to deal with that, you know? It isn't the same kind of thing. If a merperson did magically appear, there's no chance it'd be me they'd call for it. Oh my god! Shut up, you're hot. The more Cove spoke, the more it sounded like he could be merfolk himself. He was choking on air, a fish out of water. I mean, you're the one who's charming and talented. He barely eked the last word out. There isn't anyone who wouldn't choose you. Oh? You were completely flattered by how highly he thought of you, and then you heard Miranda screech. Your attention immediately switched over to your friends. You saw that Terry had gotten impatient and shifted her legs. The walls Miranda had been meticulously building collapsed into a wet heap of sand. She surveyed the damage critically. We're gonna have to start over on that part. Do you just want to give up on this now?
No way.
The burial must continue. I'll try not to move anymore. Okay, if you're sure, I'll try to fix this. Miranda started to read Terry, and Terry shot her thumbs up. She realized too late that moving her arm was a bad idea. More of the sand on her crumpled, and Miranda put her head in her hands. Cove caught your eye and started to drag himself up. Seems like we're needed. You agreed and followed him over to the girls. Miranda nodded at you both with appreciation, and the three of you did your best to finish the job. You all worked out a system of using just enough wet sand to help hold the rest together. With 3 people, it didn't take long for Terry to be entombed. Terry grinned massively, and Miranda offered high fives. The pile was officially done. Oh yeah! Wait, that's definitely not what she sounded like. Resembling the Kool-Aid man, she kicked herself out of the ground with gusto. Sand went flying in all directions, and a Terry-shaped imprint was left behind. Miranda yelled again, and Cove chuckled. There probably wasn't a better way to get out of it. The 4 of you continued to have a good time. You went on a shell hunt. Miranda managed to find the biggest while you found the most colorful. Cove caught a tiny crab. You did a bit of everything. There were impromptu games to just soaking up each other's company. However, after a while, you all had ran out of water. Drinkable water, anyway. It was decided that you had to head to your Co's house. Things were gathered, and you started to cheerfully walk up the road. What's next? I don't have anywhere to go, so it could be whatever. Same, I guess we can keep hanging out. Terry snorted, and readjusted her grip on her things. Don't sound too sure there, Cove. By this point, you could see your house. It hadn't taken you long to make the trip. The conversation continued with everyone throwing out suggestions. Are people hungry? She looked from face to face in inspection. Cove and Miranda shrugged in concern. No one was overly opposed to it. However, you weren't really starving. It wasn't quite a mealtime. We could get dessert. Miranda put a finger to her lip and thought, with a smile, her voice beamed more confident. Yeah, that should be fun. Terry considered it and then shot Miranda a thumbs up. Sounds great to me. I can definitely go for that. I think that's a good idea. But there's nothing sweet at my house. My friends glanced at Cove and his place. He shook his head immediately. Dad doesn't have anything good either. I mean, unless you want dessert-flavored protein shakes. Ew, no. She cut in and held her hands up as if trying to ward off something evil. Cove smirked.
Not bad.
It's not that bad.
Nope. Well,
There has to be some kind of sweet shop around here. Let's look it up. Terry nodded and started to dig around in her bag. I like the way you think. Terry continued to rummage in her bag and grew increasingly frustrated. She puffed out her cheeks and knelt down, setting the bag on the ground. With both hands free, she was finally able to fish out her phone. She raised it up in triumph for a brief moment of celebration. I'll search for something good. Terry got back to her feet and hefting the bag over one arm, tapping away at her screen on the other. But she assessed Cove from top to bottom. No shirt, no shoes, no service. Cove glanced down at his bare chest and feet, and having not even registered it prior, he chuckled a little bit. I'll grab something. Cove moved over to his house and looked towards yours. He decided to change as well. He waited outside with the girls. I mean, I'm wearing a t-shirt, so I think I'm fine. I'll wait outside with the girls. You watched Cove disappear into his house. Terry was deep in the midst of scrolling through the food options. You shuffled over to where you could see, and Miranda did the same. There's an ice cream place. People love ice cream, especially around here. I don't really feel like ice cream. Cool, because I don't either. She flicked her finger up. Do they like each other? She flicked her finger up, and another ice cream place showed up. Melty Moo Moo's frozen treats with an unfortunate cartoon mascot. I like ice cream, it's just not for today. There has to be something else. You thought on it, and Terry kept scrolling. You heard a door open and Cove reappeared. You were about to be surprised at how quick he was, but then noticed he just thrown on a t-shirt over his swim trunks and slipped a pair of sandals on. Of course. Hey. Everyone else exchanged their respective greetings and then looked back at Terry's phone. Terry scrolled further and then made an interested exclamation. Oh, what about this place? They sell crepes. That's something you don't see every day. Look how fancy they are. She shoved her phone into your face. It seems like a cute shop. It didn't show any pictures of the actual building, but the food seemed good. It was one of those places that put a lot of effort into presentation, with branded wrapping for the crepes and well-applied toppings.
Huh.
Weird, I've never heard of it. I haven't either. Mysterious, but crepes are so good. I am doing awful at voicing these characters, and I apologize. She nodded her approval as Terry admired more of the photos. I'd go, it's not too far, but we could drive. Terry cheered at the success of a plan made, and you all walked around to Cove's car. He had to run inside once more to grab his keys. You wrote, "Wash me" in the dirt on his car. You waited for Cove. I've never done that before. Usually my friends keep their cars pretty clean, so. But I feel like I would if I had the chance. You noted the thin coat of sand and dust on Cove's car. It had probably been a while since he'd washed it. With a smirk, you carefully wrote, "Wash me" with your finger.
very nifty.
Good work. I wonder if he's gonna notice. The car beeped and unlocked. Cove ran up to you with his car keys in hand. His hair slipped into his face, and he brushed it back. Shotgun. This is the same car, isn't it? I guess it's kind of a different art. This is beautiful, though. Like, someone had to draw this, right? Dang. I can't tell what type of car it is, though, but I feel like I've been in one of these cars. She comforted into the passenger seat without hesitation. You didn't argue and climbed to the back with Miranda. Terry activated the directions on their phone and map and acted as their navigator, directing Cove to the crepes. The GPS tried to get Cove to turn into a non-existent road ahead once and wanted him to do a U-turn instead of just using a left turn. But with Terry looking at the actual path, it was smooth enough. You were led to a small stall in a parking lot rather than a full building. That explained why there hadn't been pictures of the creperie interior and why it was new to you despite living in this town your entire life. It was a completely new structure that popped up recently. There was a window you could walk up to and one for cars to drive up to. Cove parked with a laugh.
Come on.
I don't think I need to put a shirt on for this, but I'll still want to try it. Let's go.
What?
Do you not trust us to eat in your car? She gestured to the drive-thru option. Cove shook his head with a snort. I trust some people here, maybe, but wouldn't it be more fun to actually check it out? Everyone acknowledged his point and piled out. Terry tried to tease Cove a little, but Miranda started talking about the last time she had crepes. Apparently they'd been a dessert explosion topped with multiple sauces, powdered sugar, and what Miranda was pretty sure had to be a cake icing. That's sweet.
So great.
Literally, it was so good, but I regretted it so much. I couldn't finish it, and I really tried. You can do it this time, Randy. That's such a weird nickname for Miranda. There were some laughs when you got up to the menu. You realized that there were more than just crepes. There were definitely crepes, many crepes, however the stall also had a lot of different drinks as well. Teas, smoothies, milkshakes. Jackpot! She grinned and held out her fist for a fist bump. Miranda high-fived it. The two stared at the awkward, vaguely turkey-shaped hand configuration they had made and then slowly put their hands down. Cove's mouth twitched into a smile. You stepped up to order first. You glanced back at the menu. You ordered a crepe, you ordered a drink, you ordered a crepe and a drink. Yeah, I'd go for both. Hello, I'd like to get a crepe and a drink, please. There was a woman who looked a little older than you, taking the orders. She smiled back at you, ready to hear the specifics of your purchase. For the crepe itself, you wanted, I'd probably go for strawberry, right? No, not strawberry. Why did I say strawberry? Who am I? I meant chocolate. Yeah, let's go chocolate. For the filling and toppings, you picked whipped cream, condensed. What does it mean by condensed milk? Hey, we'll skip on that. We already got chocolate, so we don't need this stuff. Powdered sugar, sure. And that was all. And you picked the size you were asked and what you wanted to drink. You ordered. See, this is where I would get a strawberry and a smoothie. You could also add a mix-in or toppings for the drink. You chose to add whipped cream. Yeah, whipped cream's good. And that was all. And you paid and stepped aside to let your friends order. Cove got a lemon crepe and with powdered sugar on top and the mixed berries. He also got a plain strawberry smoothie. Terry went crazy with toppings. Although she ordered a plain crepe, she had it smothered with whipped cream, cream cheese, chocolate chips, chocolate syrup, and bananas. Miranda opted for a frappe with caramel syrup and condensed milk. The four of you stood off to the side as you waited for your treats. I heard what you ordered, Z. God, I'm not the only one who'd go for a drink and a crepe. I couldn't pick just one, and why not? Exactly. It's gonna be good. I think yours sounded tasty, Z. Thanks. Order for Z? Oh, I've gotta get that. You grabbed your order. The others didn't take much time after that. With the goods collected, everyone admired their treats. Terry dug right into hers, and Miranda gave hers a tentative sip. Terry nodded acceptingly with her mouth. Completely full, Miranda tilted the frappe over to her with a grin. Terry sipped it and clearly loved it. She raised her crepe over to Miranda. You could tell that there was an intent to make it look nice. But with all the assorted toppings piled on, only so much could be done. Miranda took a huge bite with gusto and sighed happily. Terry seemed satisfied and took another slurp of Miranda's drink. They had both only gotten one thing, probably because they knew they'd end up sharing. Cove, do you want to share ours? Terry and Miranda, can I join in sharing? Share your order with everyone. I don't think anyone's order sounded very good, and I'm not much to share. You said nothing and started consuming. Actually, I totally would, actually. You held your order up a little, bringing it to attention. Your friends looked at you, curious. Anyone wants them? Yes, dibs. Can't call dibs on someone else's food. Except that I did. Everyone can try it if they want. Thanks, that's so nice. Miranda took the first round and then, with a smirk, passed your order to Cove instead of Terry. Oh, Randy, my dibs.
Sorry.
You can't claim Z stuff. Fine, I can wait for it. Chuckling, Cove seemed to greatly enjoy his taste, and didn't pass it on to Terry until he stopped chewing slowly. Finally, she accepted your order with gusto and took her taste. It's so good, thanks, Z. You gave her your reply in between sips of Miranda's frappe and munches of Cove's crepe. With that, Cove started to eat his treat in earnest. You saw him take a huge gulp of his smoothie, and then, without swallowing, he added a bite of his lemon crepe. Cove? Terry tore off a piece of her crepe and held it out to Cove. Care to make a trade? Sure. Instead of continuing to loiter in the parking lot, the four of you started to walk down the sidewalk. There was a lot of sharing going on with crepe bits and topping being passed around. You wouldn't have been surprised if Terry ended up drinking more frappe than Miranda did. He kept going down the way, eating, drinking, and chatting. Oh. You hadn't realized just how far the group had wandered until you ended up at the now leaving sign. Apparently, you were about to just walk right out into the middle of nowhere. Terry took her mouth off of Miranda's straw and stopped sipping the frappe. Impossible! Preposterous! Where are we already at the end? I already forgot how tiny this town really is. Cove chuckled a little and swallowed a chunk of Terry's crepe.
I guess.
Kinda is, huh? Didn't feel that small when we were growing up.